Imagine darkness all around you, the strong scent of earth and cold stone. You hear a sound, a low growl, then another. Glowing eyes in the darkness begin to move. You are surrounded. Nowhere to run. No escape. No help. Just you and your faith. What would you do? Daniel lived this exact moment. Thrown into a den filled with hungry lions, with no apparent chance of survival. But then, something unbelievable happened. He didn't just survive, he walked out completely unharmed. How is that possible? Was it luck? Was it courage? Or is there a secret behind this story that could change your life? And most importantly, what can we learn from Daniel to face our own challenges today? Before I reveal this mystery, make sure to like this video and help spread this message to more people, because what you're about to discover could transform your faith forever. What makes some people remain unshakable in the face of trials, while others give in to pressure? What sets apart those who hold on to their values, even when everything seems to be working against them? Daniel faced one of the greatest tests of faith and courage ever recorded. He was alone, without allies, in a foreign land where his faith wasn't just mocked, it was forbidden. And yet, he never wavered. And because of that, God honored him in an extraordinary way. But here's the key point. Daniel's strength didn't come from a last-minute act of courage. He followed 3 fundamental principles that allowed him to stand firm, even when his life was on the line. 3 steps that not only helped him survive the lion's den, but also led him to prosper inside the very empire that tried to destroy him. And believe me, the 3rd step could completely change the way you face challenges. Very few people notice this detail in Daniel's story, but it holds a powerful secret for anyone who wants to achieve success without compromising their values. Stay with me until the end of this video, because besides these 3 steps, I will reveal something truly surprising about Daniel. A detail that is rarely mentioned, but could transform the way you see faith, purpose, and success. Daniel was just a young man when everything changed. He was torn from his homeland, taken as a prisoner to Babylon, a powerful empire that worshipped foreign gods and followed laws that contradicted everything he believed in. For many, this would have been the perfect opportunity to adapt, forget their roots, and accept the new culture. After all, resisting could mean persecution or even death. But Daniel didn't see things that way. He had something that no one could take from him: his unshakable faith. From the very beginning, he was tested. As one of the young men chosen to serve in the king's palace, he was expected to eat the royal delicacies, succulent meats, fine wines, and exclusive dishes. But there was a problem. These foods were first offered to the gods of Babylon before being served. For Daniel, accepting that food was the same as compromising his covenant with God. He had a difficult choice to make: give in to the pressure and secure his privileged position, or stay true to his principles and trust that God would provide. He chose faithfulness. And the most incredible part, that decision didn't harm him. In fact, it elevated him. While the other young men indulged in the king's abundance, Daniel and his friends chose to eat only vegetables and drink water for 10 days. The result was astonishing. At the end of the period, they looked healthier and stronger than everyone else. His faithfulness brought him favor in the eyes of the king. But that was just the first test. The greatest challenge was yet to come. Years later, a royal decree was signed. No one could pray to any god other than the king of Babylon. Anyone who disobeyed would be thrown into the lion's den. It was a trap. Jealous advisors knew that Daniel would never abandon his faith, and they did everything in their power to ensure his downfall. Daniel knew the consequences. He knew his life was at risk. But even so, he did not hesitate. He didn't hide. He didn't pray in secret. He didn't try to escape the situation. As he had always done, he went up to his room, opened his windows, and continued praying 3 times a day for all of Babylon to see. He would rather face the lions than deny his faith. And now, a crucial question arises. How does someone remain so steadfast in times of crisis? How did Daniel manage to keep his integrity when everything around him tried to force him to give in? If you've ever felt pressure to compromise your values, to fit in, to avoid problems, this answer could change your life. Because the truth is, there are 3 fundamental steps that Daniel followed, and you can apply them too. And the third step, in particular, is something that most people completely overlook, yet it could be the key to living with courage and purpose. Now, let's dive into the 3 powerful principles that made Daniel an example of integrity and success. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself in Daniel's place. You know there is a law forbidding your faith. You know that everyone is watching, waiting for you to give in, to take the easy way out. If you simply stop, if you pray in secret, where no one can see you, everything will be fine. No danger, no threats. But if you continue to do what you've always done, if you remain faithful to your principles, you'll be thrown into the lion's den. What would you do? This is not just an ancient story. This is a reality that many people face every single day. You may never have been threatened with a den full of lions, but how many times have you felt pressured to hide what you believe? How many times have you been in situations where standing by your values meant losing an opportunity, being ridiculed, or standing alone? We live in a world that constantly tests us. At work, among friends, on social media. Everywhere, there are moments when we are tempted to compromise our convictions to fit in, to avoid conflict, to keep everything peaceful. But here's the truth. Giving in may seem like the safest choice at the moment, but in the long run, our integrity is what truly defines us. Daniel understood this. He could have made concessions. He could have closed his window. He could have prayed in secret, but he didn't. Because he understood something that most people ignore. It's not in the big decisions of life that we reveal who we truly are. It's in the small, daily moments when no one is watching. And that is exactly what sets apart those who remain firm from those who give in to pressure. There is a pattern, a secret behind this unshakable strength. Daniel followed 3 fundamental steps, and these same steps can help you overcome any challenge that tries to shake your principles. Are you ready to discover them? If there is a secret to maintaining unwavering faith and unshakable principles, Daniel shows us exactly what it is. He did not make decisions based on the pressure of the moment. He did not react impulsively when trials arose. On the contrary, he already knew who he was and what he believed before any crisis even came. And that is precisely the first step. Decide your values before the crisis comes. Daniel was far from home, in a culture that tried to mold him, to force him to adapt. But from the very first day, he made a clear decision. He would not defile himself. When he was brought into the palace and offered the king's delicacies, he already knew that it went against God's principles. He did not hesitate. He did not second-guess himself. He refused, because his decision had already been made long before temptation appeared. And here's the key. If you do not know your values, you will be easily influenced by circumstances. If you wait until the moment of pressure to decide what you believe, the likelihood of giving in is far greater. But if you determine right now who you are and what you will never compromise, when the test comes, your answer will already be prepared. The second step is essential. Maintain an unshakable spiritual routine. When Daniel heard about the decree that prohibited prayer, he could have made concessions. He could have prayed in silence, in secret. He could have waited for the danger to pass. But he changed absolutely nothing. As he had always done, he opened his window and prayed 3 times a day, without fear, without shame, without hesitation. That's because his faith did not depend on circumstances. His relationship with God was not something casual. It was a firm, daily, and non-negotiable commitment. And this is exactly what strengthens an unshakable spirit. If you want to be prepared for great trials, you need to build your faith in the small moments. A strong relationship with God is not formed only in times of crisis. It is built in routine, in consistency, in the discipline of seeking God every day, regardless of what is happening around you. And finally, the third step, trust that God honors those who remain faithful. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. To human eyes, it was the end. But he was not alone. God sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions. Daniel spent the entire night surrounded by hungry beasts and did not suffer a single scratch. This teaches us a powerful truth. When you remain faithful, God fights for you. The trials may come, the threats may seem overwhelming, but God never abandons those who choose to trust in Him. If you're going through a difficult moment, remember this: God's faithfulness never fails. He is the same God who delivered Daniel from the lions, and He can do the same for you. Now, the real question is, are you ready to live out this unshakable faith? Most people know the story of Daniel in the lion's den. They know he was thrown in for standing firm in his faith. They know that God sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions. They know that in the morning, King Darius ran to the den and found Daniel completely unharmed. But there's something that almost no one notices about this story. Daniel didn't just survive. He thrived. What happened after the lion's den is just as astonishing as the miracle itself. Instead of being forgotten, Daniel was promoted to an even higher position within the empire. King Darius didn't just recognize the power of Daniel's God. He placed Daniel above all the rulers of the kingdom. Think about that. Daniel didn't just pass the test. He came out of the trial stronger than when he went in. His faithfulness to God didn't just save him from death. It positioned him for something greater. And this isn't the only time we see this pattern in the Bible. Joseph was sold into slavery, falsely imprisoned, and forgotten, until suddenly he was promoted to governor of Egypt. David spent years running for his life, being hunted and persecuted, until one day he was crowned king of Israel. Esther risked everything by stepping into the king's presence to save her people, and she became one of the most influential women in history. There's a pattern here. The greatest challenges always come before the greatest breakthroughs. If you want to know how these figures turned their crises into opportunities and were used by God in extraordinary ways, watch more videos on the channel. You'll discover that the same principle that took Daniel to the top can transform your life as well. Daniel's story isn't just about surviving. It's not just about escaping a den full of lions. It's about something so much greater. It's about someone who refused to compromise his faith, even when it could have cost him his life. It's about a man who didn't just walk out of the lion's den unharmed. He walked out stronger, more respected, and more influential than before. And this story isn't just in the past. It happens every day in the lives of people facing challenges, pressure, and difficult choices. How many times have you felt tested? At work, among friends, in society. There are moments when the easiest path seems to be giving in, adapting, going with the flow. But Daniel proves that it's possible to maintain integrity and still prosper. The question is, are you ready to apply these 3 steps in your life? Step 1. Decide now, before the crisis comes, what your non-negotiable values are. Step 2. Build a strong spiritual routine that will strengthen you for any challenge. Step 3. Trust that God honors those who remain faithful. Now tell me in the comments, which of these 3 steps do you need to apply in your life today? If this message spoke to you, leave a like. It helps this video reach more people. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here, you'll always find stories that will strengthen your faith and your journey. And remember, faithfulness always brings rewards, and your journey to becoming unshakable starts now.